All right, welcome everyone back to our On the Run. This is our episode that we talk about how to be your own coach. Here with me today again is my colleague and co-host, which is Harjit.
Harjit Kaur, and we have a beautiful environment at this place, getting ready for us to be our own coaches.
Yeah, we are very excited. So we got ourselves a new background. Hopefully, it works for everyone. And I think today's topic is on everybody's list because while I was talking to our other colleagues from our other departments, we were all really excited to hear what we have to say for this episode itself.
Right.
So I
And
think
coaching is trendy. A lot of people are going either taking training to be coaches or themselves going to be coached.
Definitely. So I hear a lot of people becoming coaches, whether it's life coaches, SWOT coaches, many different types of coaches.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something that has catch on in these recent times, especially when everyone is more concerned about their mental health a bit more.
Right. And personal development as well.
Definitely. So I think in line with what we are looking out for is we want to continue to grow and continue to improve ourselves. That's why being your own coach is important today.
So let's start with, what does it mean to be your own coach?
Well, I have my definition and Harjit can give me hers later on. So being your own coach is all about taking some level of control of what's happening around your life, right? It's about probably setting some realistic and expect goals that are within expectations.
Right.
All right. And of course, developing certain mindsets and habits to help you achieve those goals. What do you think, Ajay?
Wow, sounds good. I'm going to draw a parallel between being your own coach and being a sports coach.
Definitely.
Right? So being your own coach is similar to being a sports coach, where you assess where you are, set your own targets, motivate yourself as well, and try to achieve the targets that you have set for yourself.
Wow, that's a lot. Definitely very different from a sports coach. Not too far away, but this is doing it for ourselves.
For ourselves, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I think the other thing that we want to cover is being your own coach is about taking some level of responsibility for yourself also at the same time.
Absolutely.
I think that's important because I mean you're a coach for yourself, so you do have to have some level of responsibility. I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So how about let's start the topic with since we have already spoken about what's the meaning of being your own coach, is how can we start the process of becoming your own coach?
I think first of all, it is gauging. There could be different starting points, but when I look at it, I would, assess where I am currently in life and what is the area that I want to build up on.
Okay.
So, yeah, like you were mentioning previously, it could be career coaching, it could be life coaching. Just to add on to that list, there could be other things like self-development. It could be things like forming certain habits or getting rid of certain habits. It could be even inculcating certain values, like sometimes I tend to procrastinate.
Okay, that's me also. Sometimes I do that.
Right.
And yeah, I mean having some differences in all that, like what you mentioned, does make a difference in the lifestyle, how you look at things or how you experience things. In fact, so I think definitely really important. But like what you mentioned is it is very important to focus on one of the things first rather than going for many things, like shooting so many targets to shoot for. You tend to lose sight of it, or you tend to grow tired for going for so many goals. So it's good to focus on a few goals that you probably feel that is important at this current moment. Am I right to say that, Raji?
The question that comes to my mind when I speak to my clients is, they say, I've got so many things to work on. So if you tell me, don't have so many things and arrow down just one, how do I do that?
Wow, that's a really tough question because like same as your clients, my clients, even sometimes my family members and my friends ask me, yeah, Sean, there's so many things to work on. Which one to work for? And I try to the way I put it is that which one do you feel that if you don't work on it now, probably will become an issue for you in the next moment. What do you think? Does that work for you?
It does. So my style of attempting that question would be, I would normally tell the clients, why don't you just list down everything that is important for you, right? I suppose it has different styles. And similarly, it would be when we are our own coaches as well. So I'd ask them to list down everything that's really important for them. And the next important thing is rearrange as per your priority.
Okay.
So prioritize it if there are, for example, 10 things or 7 things that you want to work on, arrange it in the order of priority. And whatever you think needs to be done now, that's the one you pick and work on it.
Okay. I mean, it sounds very similar to what I've done in the past. I actually draw a window for 4 squares.
Right.
So the very first one is the one that you actually attend to it immediately. Then number 2 is probably the one that you need to attend to, but not immediately. Then one that can wait and one that you can go off for the longest time. So we separate off. So from that list, we actually can place them in different things. But it does take some time, and we do have to sit down to have a quiet moment to think about things.
So this window is something like urgent and important.
Yes, very similar to that. Okay. I think everyone here are quite internet savvy, so you can just Google many things out there on top of what Ajit and myself has mentioned. I think there's still many choices to choose from how to do so. There's no one best way, but there's one way that you probably feel that meets what you need in that moment.
Yeah,
right?
what works. So once you have identified the area that you want to work on, I would suggest doing a little bit of self-reflection to see where you stand at it at this point of time. That would be something which would be great to assess before we start off with our own self-coaching.
So self-reflection is definitely something really important when you want to start off to become your own coach, right? Right to say that. So I'll probably, people will start asking them what is self-reflection for those who want to know a bit more.
Right.
I think self-reflection is very in line with self-awareness.
Right.
It's really a very, very powerful tool to check in and ask yourself, what are the insights of your own strengths and weaknesses, and identify the areas that you can make, and I must point this out, positive changes.
Right.
I think that's part of self-reflection. It's like looking into a mirror and seeing which part of you looks great today, instead of looking for all the negative parts.
Right.
I think that's
So the question that comes to my mind is, I'm not so great at assessing myself, so what do I do?
What I do is, usually I have a piece of paper in front of me. I'll be asking myself, after you have a goal, after you have what you have chosen, I'll probably be checking in with myself, is that what can I do? What have I done well today? Probably is today. Have I done well? What could I have done differently? What would I like to keep to use for the very next day? I think that's the most simplest way of self-reflection.
So it is, what have I done well?
What have I done well?
What can I do better?
What can I do better? And what can I keep for use for the very next time?
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Sounds good. I think it's simple enough.
Simple and good enough. I like your idea of put it down on a paper, because I've personally tried, over a period of time, try to bring about a change in certain habits. When I think to myself, I have it all right here. Sometimes it doesn't work.
And you are right, because our clients, and the big bulk of it are parents, and parents like to tell me, Sean, when I tell my kids something, it just comes out, goes in from one ear, it comes out from the other. And because of that, they don't remember, or they say they don't remember. Then my suggestion is often telling them, get them to write it down.
Write it down. Absolutely. I like that idea. And I initially started off with writing on a sheet of paper. But sometimes, you get ideas on the go while you're working, when you're commuting. So I have made use of technology now.
Definitely.
And so just put it on my notes.
I'll put it on my handphone.
On the notes on the handphone.
Whether it's audio, whether it's typing, whichever fits you the most. I mean,
Right.
but beware of your own screen time. That's very important.
Important, yeah. So this is the groundwork done before you set off as a coach of your own, being your own coach, right? Is there any other preliminary preparatory things that
Not
anyone
too sure. Probably Harjit can enlighten me on what could be the process, or is there any acronyms that we are looking out for that we can help remind ourselves or remember? What do you think, Harjit? Do you have something similar to that?
Yes, absolutely. We are in Singapore. We need to have acronyms for everything. So the acronym for being your own coach will be, let's use the word change.
Okay, change.
Right? So let's start first with the letter C.
Harjit, how do we spell change first?
All right.
In case for some people who really can't spell.
Spelling test on a Tuesday evening.
Okay.
So let's find the words for CHANGE.
Okay,
right?
take notes. CHANGE. All right.
So let's fill that up so that it's easier for us to remember how we can be our own coach.
Definitely.
So the first thing will be having clear goals. So the change, the first C is let's have clear goals.
Clear goals. To clarify on your goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what would you define as a clear goal then?
Just before we started this podcast, remember what was another acronym we
We
were
had a
talking
conversation
about?
about this, and it was called SMART goals. Alright. So I want our listeners or our viewers to actually go and research on that, go and Google on that. We cannot give you all the answers, am I right to say that? Or do you want to give them all the answers?
So the thought that comes to me is many of them are live, they're watching. They can even put it in the comments on the YouTube.
Definitely. Start a conversation with us. Let us know if you have any questions. We will be very, very happy to hear from you.
Yeah. So you can type your questions, you can type your comments on your suggestions on the comments of YouTube.
Definitely.
Okay, let's get back to our SMART goals.
Okay.
Do you want to share them more, or are you giving this as a homework?
I think I'll give it as a homework. I mean, it's part of my habit as a counselor.
To give homework.
Habit as a trainer too, because we both of us are trainers in Morningstar, and we definitely like to give homework to our clients.
And the homework is with an intention, with a kind of intention for the clients to start working on themselves.
Definitely not to stress our clients out a bit more. It's definitely to give that responsibility back to our clients, to give them some level of control over how they want to do those work to help themselves.
Absolutely. So once you have defined your goals, so we spoke about clarify your goals, which is the C. The next letter is H.
H, everybody.
So that stands for harness the motivation.
It's a very big word. Tell me, how can we harness the motivation?
It's very interesting these days when I talk to the youth, when I talk to many of the my younger clients, parents, grandparents, a lot of them are using the word manifest.
Yes, I think it's becoming very, very popular. Manifestations, alright?
Right. So how do you harness that motivation? Could be by manifesting as well.
Can you give me an example?
I will let you give an example.
Manifesting, gathering, probably I think would be really focusing on the positive things that have been happening in your life. I think that's really important. The other thing that we tend to not look out for, I believe, is that we tend to not look out for the little details, the little efforts, the little successes. We tend to miss that out a bit. I think those little successes are part and parcels and little steps towards a bigger goal. I think that's really
it is. And motivation also comes from self-talk, self-affirmation. Once you have the clarity of the goal, knowing you want to you have the desire to achieve the goal, that also creates a motivation.
Yeah, definitely important. The self-talk definitely is positive self-talk, and the self-affirmation. I just had a conversation with two of my clients recently in a group. I told them that actually we often forget to give our pets, forget to give pet on our own pets, and we are very shy to do so. I think that's something that we need to learn to be able to do,
Mhm.
just to encourage ourselves, to let ourselves know that we have done really, really well. I guess that's really important.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So moving forward, we spoke about clarifying the goal,
Mhm.
harnessing the
Harnessing
motivation.
motivation.
When we come to the next letter,
Mm.
that stands for having an action
Action
plan,
Right.
right? We need to have a plan.
Yeah. All said and nothing done. I mean, then definitely there won't be anything
Right.
moving forward. Yeah.
Okay, having said that,
Mm.
some people work better when they have a very, very detailed plan.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, I do have colleagues. I have a colleague behind the camera that prefers me to be very specific, very detailed. And she actually gave me a thumbs up for it. So sometimes yes, a very clear, very specific action plan suits people. And of course, there are people on the other side of the spectrum that don't really do really well with very, very concrete plans.
Yeah. So even if you don't have any plan which is very, very structured to the T, having some sort of a plan is good.
I think something written down, something in mind, that's really, really important because then you know you are starting on something.
Right. Starting in something as well as when you break down the task into smaller chunks, right? What we
Manageable
call,
chunks.
yes, what we call chunking in psychology. That is very helpful in getting us to understand how it can be achieved and also getting a feeling that it is achievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so overwhelming with so big of a chunk.
Yeah.
The smaller chunks looks like something that you can accept a bit more,
Right.
you can do a bit more, and then of course while doing the small ones it accumulates.
Yeah.
It becomes something bigger.
Yeah, and that leads you to the goal that you
That's
want.
the action plan. Right.
Right. Okay, so we've got, I'm just repeating that
Yep.
once again.
Definitely.
We've got clarifying the goal,
Okay.
we've got harnessing motivation, we've got an action plan, CHA. So the next is N, and that would be having your network of support.
Can't say enough. That's really, really important.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes when you're doing things alone, you feel like you're losing out.
Mhm.
You feel like you're the only one in the world that probably is suffering.
Yeah.
But with a network of support, good colleagues, good friends, good family members, or even people in the community or even professionals out there, I think
Right.
that's very important as a network of support.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it is so important. And just to give an example, just to for the listeners, for the audience to be able to relate to network of support, as simple as for example, if I'm working on my diet, on my health, right? So if I am trying to cut down on my carbs. Okay.
Are you doing it?
Not at the moment, not at the moment. I've done that in the past. So if I'm working on cutting down on my carbs, that network of support around me, just let's consider it as family, because we have at least our dinner with our family. At that point of time, if the family is supportive, they understand what we are working towards, the journey becomes so much more easier.
Definitely. I mean, I feel that we have come a long way.
Yeah.
Especially today with our podcast, it's just very early stages.
Right.
It's just the third episode.
Right.
But if I was to do it alone, I think I'll probably give up halfway through. But with Ajit and my fellow colleague, which behind the camera, I think it has made it an easier process.
Mhm.
Not forgetting the other colleagues that have been supporting us along the way from our organization itself. I think it's very important that they were around. If not, I would not have been able to come to the third episode.
It almost sounds like you're getting an Oscar award or
So
something.
very soon enough, I would want to have one. Right.
But I totally agree with you. That support that we've had to run this podcast from our colleagues has been immensely helpful.
Definitely. Okay.
Right.
That's
Okay, so let's go on to the next letter, which is letter G.
G. What is the letter G?
Okay, the letter G stands for having a growth mindset.
Let me make a guess.
Okay, make a
A
guess.
growth mindset is probably some sort of belief in your own abilities, some sort of belief in yourself that
Right.
you can develop through some level of dedication, I believe. Is that
Right.
okay, Ajit?
Yeah, absolutely. You're on track.
Right.
So what happens is my own personal experience as well. So since I was talking about the health and trying to be on track with that, what used to happen is many a times you start working on a goal, you're very motivated to start off with, right? And as we're talking about being our own coach, which also means being aware and mindful about where our thoughts are going. So once you start your journey on, say, managing, keeping good health, along the way, sometimes we're enticed by things that get us off track.
Probably we will encounter some obstacles, we will encounter some challenges along the way, and sometimes I feel that we might meet with small little mistakes or even failures.
Okay, depends how you term it, whether it's a mistake or a failure. Imagine it's my birthday that comes in between, or if it's a good friend's birthday, and there you have a nice rich chocolate cake. Why is it that I used the word chocolate in the last session as well?
I think it's something that we tend to like to treat ourselves a lot of the way.
So as we're working towards our goals, trying to be our own coach, ensuring we keep on track. And if we go off track, or we are not able to meet our goals for a particular stretch or one sub part of the bigger goal, at that point of time, if we have a growth mindset, right?
Push ourselves a bit more, right?
Push ourselves more, look at the positives. Even if we go off track, motivate ourselves, do the self-talk, pull your socks up and get back on track.
Definitely. I think on top of that, the previous one that we talked about, the network support, is really important. So you're not alone in this. Sometimes you can find a group of friends or a group of people that you feel that will encourage you further. I think that also helps to push your mindset a bit more and keep it strong, I believe.
Right. And it is adapting to the changes,
Definitely.
right? So if things go off track a little bit, adapt, get back on track, start working, make that first movement, make that first choice to keep moving forward.
I think choice is really important here. Whatever choices we are making, it really makes a difference in the path that we are moving towards. The journey starts every day when you wake up, so definitely really important.
Yeah. The key word for me here will be keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Okay, sounds like
Just do it.
Yeah, that sounds like my other colleague that likes to do this and also.
Okay. And just keep moving.
Yeah, just keep moving. I think important thing, listen to that song and you probably will keep moving, Yeah.
Right. And the last letter is E, which is evaluate and adjust.
Evaluate and adjust. So how are we going, or what you suggest as a way to evaluate before we even talk about adjust?
Okay, so evaluate will be, remember the very first point, which is clarify the goals, the C of the change. So my way to evaluate will be go back to where you started off from, right?
The initial goal.
Yeah, the initial goal.
Okay.
Look at the action plan that you had created.
Now it's linking,
Yeah, so we link it all back. Look at the action plan and check how far you have reached, how much you have achieved, right? What have you been able to do? Whether it's your health, whether it's your habits, whether it is your career goals or self-development, right? So check where you have reached and that's how you would evaluate.
How far have you come along? Or how much you need to catch up, probably, I guess.
Yeah. So you could be on track. You may have done better than what you aimed for.
Could be faster.
Could be faster. You could be falling backwards.
Okay.
Right? You would be falling short of what you had previously planned.
Probably so, and a lot of us do sometimes, become fall back a bit more because of stresses in life. Things happen in life. We are all human.
Yeah. And so that is where the evaluate and adjust comes in.
Adjust. So we adjust our goals, or we adjust what we are doing. What are we looking at?
Actually, both.
All right. Okay. I was just trying to be a bit more lazy, seeing that miss one of them, but definitely a goal.
Yeah. So adjust your goals. It's okay if you have not achieved where you wanted to be.
Definitely.
Right.
yeah, definitely I feel that it's okay,
Mhm.
and we need to always be kind to ourselves.
Mhm.
I mean, we want to treat ourselves with the same level of kindness
Mhm.
and understanding that we would and we would want to say to give certain same level of understanding that we extend to a friend. Definitely, huh? I mean, you probably treat your friend, your best friend, or even a normal friend much better than yourself sometimes. So we want to use that same level of kindness
Mhm.
that you give to your friend to yourself also, right? Ajit?
So very, very
Definitely. I think that's something that we want to do and constantly remind ourselves, because sometimes we really beat ourselves up quite a bit. And then that's something that happens quite a lot. In fact, I think many of my parents also, or the clients that we meet online, or even physically, they do beat themselves up quite a bit. And I have to constantly remind them that you have done really, really well, you have come a long way, and you have tried really, really hard.
So it's just like a coach
Mm.
who encourages the the athletes that the
Mm.
coach is working with.
Mm.
So most times they don't really put them down such that
Nope.
that
Nope.
that athlete cannot stand up and start working on himself, right? If we draw that parallel, that's how we need to we could both probably adjust the goals as well as the action to be taken.
Definitely. I think some adjustments are fine.
Yeah.
along the way.
And so that once again reminds me of, sometimes, there's stretches of time when I tell myself, okay, I'm going to go and exercise. I've got to get up early and go for a morning walk, right? And with all that motivation, it happens for a stretch of time. And then something comes up. Or if I have an early morning appointment, or if I need to be at a place early and I miss my morning walk, then it takes me a lot more effort to catch up and get back on that routine again.
But I do see you trying, Najib.
I do
see you catching up to it. So
try.
if you miss the morning one, I'll see you doing it right after lunch. So probably catching up to what you have missed out in the morning actually.
Don't spill the beans here.
All right.
Okay, so just to recap the change, how we can, the various steps of being your own coach.
We start with C.
We start with C. C is clarify your goals.
Okay, then we go for the H,
which is harness the motivation.
Followed by A,
which is the action plan.
And then N.
N was the networking.
Networking, really important one. That's an important one. Don't forget one. Okay, and then the G, the difficult one actually, the one that took me some time to think about.
Is a growth mindset.
Growth mindset. I think that one, if you really want to know, go and Google it again. So I'm supporting Google. I'm not too sure whether it's the right thing to do, but it's definitely something that gives us a bit more information.
Right.
What about the last one, the E, right?
So the E was evaluate and adjust.
All right. So all these things, the change. So every time you think about change, which is related to being a coach for yourself, and it is for yourself, you can actually remember what we just spoke about, or even better, just watch this video a few more times. I'm more than happy to have more views from this, right?
So you mentioned about something which I want to, we just hold that point for a few more minutes or seconds. And the point is on treating ourselves with a little more self-compassion. How can one do it?
I think it's really important to allow ourselves to forgive some mistakes that we make. Because from those mistakes, we actually learn from them. All right. So, we tend to beat ourselves up and forget that we actually learn from mistakes. The other thing is then, from those mistakes, then, and what we have learned, we can actually move forward. And then we become a bit more positive and a bit more resilient. I think that's something that I think about when we are talking about that.
So I'll add my views to that as well. So because you're being your own coach, right? We need to be a little more rational about how we look at our actions, our progress, right? Which means it's important for us to logically take perspective of what we're doing, even if there have been stumbling blocks, right? So take a perspective of it, take stock of the situation, basically, as we say, and gear up to getting back on, even if it's not getting back on track, once again, get moving.
Yeah, but just give yourself a little push.
Yes,
We're gonna do it, Yeah.
So it is about perspective taking,
Okay.
and it is about. I always feel, if it's a friend of mine who needs encouragement, me as well as most people around would be so ready to encourage them.
Definitely. I mean, I always get encouraged by you, so I would like to hear a bit more about that.
Right. So the important point is we can be so encouraging towards our clients, to people around us. And ourselves.
Yeah, use it on yourself. Do it on yourself. Definitely, really, really important.
Yeah. So when there are times people self-criticize. Why could I not do this?
I think that happens quite a bit nowadays. I'm not too sure why, but it could be our background, it could be our culture, it could be the way we were brought up, and that's another topic to bring up.
And the expectations of ourselves.
Definitely.
That we hold for ourselves, right? So these are some things we can be gentler to ourselves and take perspective and keep. Now the next important point is these are where there's stumbling blocks, and we need to be a little more forgiving. What about if we've made success?
When we make successes, it's the very most important thing that we have been saying it from the very first episode.
Right.
Is to celebrate those small successes. Right? How do we celebrate? Actually, how would you celebrate?
This is something I'm going to ask you. How would you celebrate? Because you look like the celebrating type.
I'm the type that really celebrates everything.
So you're the right one.
I have little parties around the office. I'll probably invite everyone to have a meal together with me. I'll definitely be going around telling my fellow colleagues of what I have achieved, how I've helped the client. Of course, not letting them know the identity of my clients, but letting them know how I feel and how I came that far. I want to celebrate with other people. Okay, that's the network. That's how I do it, actually. And I eat a lot because of that.
Then you've got to get back on your health.
So I have a new goal for myself, be a coach to lose some healthy weight, I guess. I believe so.
All right. So this is one way how people would celebrate their successes, right? I also come across people who say, I achieved it. So what? I was supposed to do it anyway. So what?
I hear a lot of that I should, and I knew, and I hear a lot of that, and sometimes then I'll be the one to encourage them to celebrate. I'll push them a bit more. I think you've done a really good job. I'll be the one to push them, and you can actually see the little smile on their face.
Right.
So sometimes if you are the one seeing one of your colleagues that's actually doing something for him or herself, I think it's good to point it out and let them know that you have seen it. I think that's really, really helpful. I know we are talking about being for yourself, but I mean sometimes share the happiness. Let your colleague or your friend know that you have noticed something. I think that's helpful.
And what I would like to add to that is tell yourself, because you're your own coach. Tell yourself, give yourself the permission to celebrate.
Tell yourself, maybe record down your voice and just keep putting it on play a few more times, and then you could hear yourself telling them you've done really well.
Right. So those successes, because we've got expectations of ourselves. So give yourself the permission to celebrate the success.
Definitely. And we give you the permission to celebrate. We have been trainers. We also have our fair share of telling people to celebrate. So we give you that permission to celebrate on top of the permission that you have for yourself. What do you think?
I would like to add another point there. Because we started off mentioning, write down your goals, track your progress, even if there are hiccups, keep moving. It'll also be a great idea to write down your success.
Right, something like a journal. Like a journal or something like mobile device, it's a good reason to be on screen sometimes. I think that's really, really useful, and I actually have a way of doing it.
Okay,
I put it on the wallpaper of my phone. I actually make it in the wallpaper and I put it there.
to remind myself, to tell myself, and it's very, very
What do
odd.
you put in? I made it.
I made it. I did well today. I mean, I've achieved something. So the different situations have different wallpapers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the unique ways.
That's a good one. I never thought of that.
Yeah, then they can have two different ones. One for the lock screen and one for the wallpaper that's in the app.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
definitely. What do you think? Would you
Perfect.
try to use that also?
I'm more an internalizing kind of a person.
All right. Then,
Right.
but remember, you need to encourage yourself sometimes.
Of course. So my way to celebrate success would be to acknowledge what I've done well. Right? Some people do go about and share with their friends. Depending on what it is, I may or may not share it.
I believe it's really, really important to share it with the right people. You know? Definitely close friends should be right people, I believe. But I mean, it's a good stuff. Nothing too private, nothing too detailed.
And each one for himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So for me, what works is to write it down, to acknowledge, and I feel good about it.
Sounds great.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so let's get on to the last question, which is, so if I am embarking on my journey to be a coach, right? Now that we have shared with our audience about how they can be coaches, how they can manage their successes or setbacks. Okay, I want to now embark on being my coach. Something similar to what we shared in the
Sounds
beginning.
like something really similar. I mean, what you mentioned, using the change.
Yeah.
Definitely is one of the ways of this journey. Right. Of course, constantly needing to remind yourself to stay on that journey is really important. What do you think, Hajit?
Yep, absolutely. So what are some things that our audience can do now that they may have been motivated from this podcast to become their own coach?
I think what you can do now is straight away after the podcast, give yourself some quiet space, think about the things that you probably want to do or you have tried to do in the past. Write that down. And from that list, probably choose something that you feel that you can start doing. Because sometimes, starting with something easy motivates you to work towards something even more harder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And while you do that, will be a great idea to have a vision of how you want to turn it out. How you want it to turn out.
That means closing your eyes and thinking about how it would turn out. Would that be something that you would do?
Why not? So that's like visualizing.
Okay.
Yeah, visualizing. Yeah, it works for me.
Or you can always look for professionals such as us, to help you with that visualization or even talking and having discussions about how you can work towards those goals or being your own coach also at the same time. That's what we do in Morningstar. Am I right to say that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we will be like soundboards for them.
Definitely. Right? Bounce it off.
Bounce it off. And sometimes it's so much easier when we verbalize our thoughts.
Definitely.
Right?
Rather than letting it cycle around there sometimes.
Yeah. So for some, what works is verbalizing. For some, what works is writing it down. Right? So important point is have a vision. And as you start working towards the goals that you want to work on with your own coach, also evaluate your values.
Yes, I think that's really important. Your values, your beliefs.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that would tweak the little things in your goals or what you want to do as a coach for yourself. I think that's really important.
And when it is aligned, when values are aligned with the actions that we want to take, we are probably a little more motivated to
do
what needs
I think
to
so.
Definitely. Right? What else would you add to embarking on the journey to be your own coach?
I think important thing is not to break the law. Embark on your goal, but not break the law. I think that's something important.
So that means rationalize.
I think that's so.
With what you're doing, and within the legal boundaries.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So like we started off, most times people want to be their own coaches. Do my thing in myself, or various other aspects of life.
Definitely.
Right. So we're very much within boundaries.
Definitely.
Right. So as we sum up the session today as we wrap up, what would you like to share?
I think we want to remind ourselves, remind the viewers and listeners that being your own coach is really, really a journey that sometimes doesn't have a destination. But it's very important sometimes to have a break in between, because as long as you are on this earth itself, that journey goes on. Sometimes you reach your goal and you probably be looking for something else, and it keeps on going. So it's a journey, it's not a destination, so it's ongoing. So that's really important.
What I would like to end off with is the same parallel that I was drawing earlier.
Okay.
Think of yourself as an athlete and of yourself as a coach.
So tell myself, I run it myself.
And then be on the side and say, yes, you can do it, we can do it.
110 people will think that we need to see a doctor for that.
So this is all because you're being your own.
Definitely.
Right? So you're not talking to yourself.
Stop. Tell yourself.
Right? But it is you're directing yourself in the direction that you want.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
There will be ups and downs, just like a coach, be there to evaluate rationally. What are the ups and downs, the hiccups that have happened? Also, as a coach, you tell yourself, okay, gear up, have the growth mindset, keep moving.
Definitely. And not to forget there's always support around you. Okay, so that's really important. You're not alone in this. All right.
So you're not alone. Be your own coach. That's a perfect way for your self-improvement. Be kind to yourself. Right?
And continue with this journey.
Continue with the journey. And if along the way you think you need to listen here, we've got Morningstar here.
Yeah, we are here to listen. We have many colleagues that's here to listen, and we are more than happy to continue to talk about the topics that concern you a bit more.
Right. So whether you are a teenager, whether you're a young adult planning to get married soon,
well, whether you are a married person,
whether you're a parent, whether you're a
we are
grandparent,
definitely. Feel free to come to us. Feel free to contact us if you're not too sure, and we will be more than happy to answer those queries that you might be having.
We've got a range of programs for various age groups, on various aspects.
Definitely.
So just get onto the social media, check our website.
And we have a Telegram channel.
Oh.
Very important, with a lot of tips, a lot of information, books to read. So join us there. Definitely we will be more than happy to share with you on top of the other social media platforms that we have, on IG, on Facebook even. So many platforms for you to choose from depending on what you like. All right.
And so, audience, viewers, embark on your journey to be your own
coach
today.
Now. All right. So, not to forget the most important thing that all YouTubers do. Subscribe and follow our channel and give a thumbs up. Right or not, Hajis?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll have another podcast running at the end of next month.
Definitely.
Once again, follow, subscribe our channel, and we look forward to seeing you again at the next podcast.
Thank you very much, and we'll be looking and seeing you around.
And we will be
on the run. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.